and admit someone. All right. And Suzanne, I believe I put you on mute, so I think you can unmute yourself.
You did, but I think I've unmuted myself. Can you hear me?
Okay, great. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Perfect.
So I'm going to pass the mic over here to Suzanne Schmitz, who's here from Securian. Securian is the vendor that administers our life insurance benefit. So go ahead and take it away, Suzanne.
Thanks so much, Clark, and thanks so much for inviting me to join you today. It's a pleasure to come and chat with the employees of the state. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to talk through life insurance. So as Clark had mentioned, we'll have time for question at the end. If you do have any questions, feel free to stop me throughout. I'd be happy to answer those, or there will be time for questions at the end of the presentation as well. So the goal today is to familiarize you with your group life insurance and accidental death and dismemberment benefit that's available through the state of Vermont as part of your benefits package. And your basic term life and AD&D insurance is issued by Minnesota Life Insurance Company, which is a subsidiary of Securian Financial Group. So you may see Securian mentioned, or you may see Minnesota Life. We're the same company, and we've been your life insurance provider since 1998. So today, we're first going to talk through your benefit. What is your life insurance and accidental death and dismemberment benefit? Then we're going to talk about beneficiaries, how important naming a beneficiary is, and how you name a beneficiary for your life insurance product. And finally, I'm going to talk about our lifestyle benefits. These are some tools and services that are tied to your basic life insurance and are things that you can take advantage of now, and they're free of charge. So something that you want to make sure that you're familiarize yourself with and take advantage of if it sounds interesting. So let me go ahead and jump into our first slide. So basic life insurance is available for full-time classified and exempt employees. So as of October of 2016, enrollment in the basic life insurance has been automatic, and the coverage became effective 30 days after your hire date. If you were hired prior to that time, you did have to enroll in the benefit, and if you chose to waive it at any point, you can still elect to enroll in it now. You will need to provide proof of good health and go through underwriting to be approved for that coverage, but that is still available even if you've chosen to waive it in the past. The benefit is 2 times your base annual pay. And if your base annual pay isn't exactly an even multiple of $100, then it's rounded down to the next even $100. So it's your base annual pay rounded down to the next even amount of $100 and then multiplied by 2. The maximum coverage is $375,000. The minimum is $20,000. And there is a matching basic accidental death and dismemberment benefit as well. So this would pay out on top of the life insurance if your death was the result of an accident. There are also some benefits available if you were dismembered as a result of an accident under the accidental death and dismemberment, or AD&D benefit. The state does pay for 75% of your benefit, and then the employee pays for 25% of the premium for the coverage. And then eligible retirees with 20 years of service or more do receive $10,000 of benefit at the time of retirement. If you do terminate your employment, coverage can be continued through conversion. So you would convert to an individual whole life policy through Securian or Minnesota Life and pay premiums directly to us. So next, I'm going to move on to your beneficiary designation. So naming a beneficiary is a really important part of your life insurance benefit. It makes sure that if something were to happen to you, that the benefit is paid to who you want. It only takes a couple of minutes to complete a beneficiary designation. And remember, it's not a set it or forget it. We all have changes in our life, and life changes, and we want to make sure that you go back periodically to review who you have named as your beneficiary and make sure that it's still the appropriate person. Minnesota Life actually manages your beneficiary designations on our life benefits website. And on your benefits portal, there is directions for how to access our website and what your user ID and password is, as well as our 800 number if there's any questions for accessing that. When you are a new hire, though, you do receive a letter from Minnesota Life advising you what your user ID and password is to access that website. So anytime you're going through annual enrollment, it's always a good time to go out and just double check, who do I have named for my life insurance, and make sure that that is still accurate. I took a look, and there is about 68% of the employees of the state who currently have a named beneficiary. So that means 32% do not currently have a beneficiary named. So if you were to pass away and there was no named beneficiary for your coverage, it would first be paid out to a spouse if you had a spouse. And if no spouse, it would go to your children in even shares. And if no children, to your parents. And if no parents, to your estate. But even if this is how you would want the proceeds to be paid out, we would still prefer that you actually go in and name these folks for us, so we have their names and their contact information. Otherwise, it's up to our claims team at the time of claim to do this research and locate these folks. So naming a beneficiary is definitely a very important part of your life insurance benefit. And there is some information here at the bottom of the screen as to where to go, again, to get that information as to where to look at and name your beneficiaries. And you can update your beneficiary at any time during the year. It's not just something that happens at annual enrollment or once a year. So anytime you have a change, feel free to go out and update your beneficiary information. I'd also like to point out this website here, securian.com-beneficiary info. There's great information about naming your beneficiary. You can name anyone you want. It can be a family member, a friend, it could be a trust or a charity. A lot of people name their minor children that are under the age of 18, and you can name a minor child. However, proceeds may not be able to be paid to them until they reach the age of majority. So if you are planning on naming minor children, it's a good idea to speak with an attorney to make sure you set that up correctly. And there is some great information out on this website that just kind of talks through naming a beneficiary who is a minor, and what things you need to take into mind if you are thinking about doing that. Next, we're going to talk about the lifestyle benefits that are tied to your basic life insurance. So any active employee who has basic life insurance has access to these benefits, and they're all free of charge. And actually, if you have a spouse or domestic partner or minor children, they're also eligible to take advantage of these benefits. So I will quickly walk through these so that you can learn a little bit more about each of the benefits that's available under the lifestyle benefits tied to your basic life insurance. The first one of these is legal, financial, and grief services that are through LifeWorks by Morneau Chappelle. So these are professional services for a variety of needs that are through web and mobile access. So under the legal side, you have a free suite of online services. You can go online and create a simple will. If your estate is worth less than $1 million, you can create a simple will online. There's other templates and resources out there on the legal side that are really interesting, that can help with a variety of situations. And then you also get a free half-hour consultation with a local attorney or a telephonic consultation with an attorney. And if you decide to move forward with retaining that attorney, it's at a 25% discounted rate. And then on the financial side, you have phone access to accredited financial advisors as well through this service. You can schedule 45 minutes of counseling on a variety of different topics as well, things like budget, credit management, bankruptcy, college funding, etc. And there's also a great online financial fitness assessment tool that you can use there through that site as well. And then finally, through the grief support piece, there's phone access to master's level consultants, through a variety of information there as well on the grief side. So any stage of grief, and they also have referrals to outside agencies and local support groups depending on where you live. So that's all available through the legal, financial, and grief from LifeWorks. And the next slide here has that contact information. And I believe Clark had mentioned that this presentation is available, so you'll have this information available as well. And it's also out on your intranet site, your benefits site. I took a look at there earlier, and there is some information out there about these services there as well. So I'd mentioned there's 4 different services. That was the first one. The second one is travel assistance from Redpoint Resolutions. So this is for anyone who's traveling 50 miles or more away from home, business or personal travel, nationally or internationally. You're covered for a variety of emergency situations. So there's pre-trip resources. So before you go on a trip, you can find out things like, do I need a visa to enter this country? What are the immunization needs for this country? But then also there's planning with passport information. If you were to lose your luggage, they can assist with that. Or if you have your wallet stolen while you're traveling, they can assist with that as well. But everything up to medical evacuation, if you are become seriously ill or injured while traveling, they can assist with getting you to a local hospital for treatment, or even the repatriation of mortal remains if someone were to pass away while traveling 50 miles or more away from home. So a lot of different benefits available through this service. One thing I will just note is they do not reimburse for any costs associated with this, but they would coordinate all of these if you work through Redpoint. So if you are going on a trip, there's a little wallet card you can download from the website that you could put into your wallet and have with you, so you're aware of how to contact Redpoint if you do run into any issues or medical issues while traveling. I will just note they don't pay for your medical issues, but coordination of things like finding a Western style medicine hospital, interpretation services, also getting a loved one there to be with you if you are hospitalized overseas, etc., is covered under this program. And again, the contact information to learn more about this service is here on the screen. So that is travel assistance. The third service is Legacy Planning Resources. And this is an online site that gives you access to a variety of information and resources for pre-planning end-of-life issues and post-death resources. So if you do have someone that's recently passed away, there's a lot of great information there about resources, etc. And then if you do have a claim filed, it also offers additional services for funeral concierge, so we can work directly with funeral homes to make payment directly to that funeral home while you're in the planning phases of final services. So that is the Legacy Planning Resources website. And then the fourth one of these is Beneficiary Financial Coaching, available through PricewaterhouseCoopers. So this one's a little different, and this is something that happens after the time of claim. So if someone has passed away, any beneficiary that receives $25,000 or more in proceeds has access to these services through PricewaterhouseCoopers. They cannot or will not sell anything, but it's really just independent, objective financial coaching from PricewaterhouseCoopers, counselors, financial advisors, attorneys, etc. So those are the lifestyle benefits that are all tied to your basic life insurance benefits. So any active employee has access to these, as well as your spouse or domestic partner or any minor children have access to these services as well. So I had made reference to your intranet site where you can learn more about your life insurance benefit, as well as these lifestyle benefits. But I think this presentation, as I had mentioned, would also be posted, so you'll have access to those links there as well. So now I would like to open the floor to any questions. I don't know, Clark, if you've received anything while I was chatting that you weren't able to answer.
Not that I couldn't answer, but the one that did come through in the chat, just for people that don't have the chat window open, they wanted a little bit more clarification regarding the retirement piece. That retirees carry the $10,000 life insurance policy through retirement, and she wanted to know if there was the specific years of service that were required, and the answer that yes, for those that aren't aware, you need 20 years of service for that.
Correct.
Let's see. We do have another question here. Do we email DHR benefits for login information?
For the beneficiary website, you would not email them. There is, as I mentioned, a link back to our website, as well as what your user ID and password is. It's what we call a shared secret. So it doesn't actually say, obviously, what your user ID and password is, but what the formula for it is. And if you do not remember what your password is, you can certainly call Securian, and our 800 number is also on that page on your intranet. We can unlock your password so that you can access the site going forward.
Great, thank you. And anyone that's in the meeting, if you have a question, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question in person as well if you're not comfortable with the chat or don't want to use the chat. Another question just came through. Is there a summary of changes for the benefits going forward compared to last year? So as far as I know, unless you've heard otherwise, Suzanne, the benefit actually isn't changing year over year. It's the same benefit. The only difference is that they're right now it's pending union review, but the rate will be going up a little bit. The premium rate will be going up just to ensure that the premium that we collect is matching the claims expenditures. But in general, you know, it's a pretty low amount. That the 25% that employees are responsible for, it's a relatively low dollar amount. So an increase in premium usually doesn't have a large impact. But otherwise, the actual benefit plan design is not changing year over year.
Correct.
And so a follow-up question is, this is questions for me, I believe. So it says our cost went up 18% for this year. Has there been new benefits added or any insight on why the large increase? Well, actually, Suzanne can help with this as well. But essentially, we are, for the most part, the type of insurance that we have is it's kind of fully insured, kind of self-insured. But essentially, what it means is that we pay for a certain amount of claims. And our overall claim experience over the last several years has been unfortunately very high, meaning that we have outpaced what was projected in terms of claims experience. And to that end, essentially, in the end, that means that premium rates go up as a result of that. So we haven't necessarily seen an increase or a change of benefits, but because of the overall experience and the amount of expenditure for the plan, the overall premium has gone up as a commensurate with that. Next question is, how soon after hire should we receive a letter with our login information? So this is, you know, we have the automatic enrollment in place. About how long after hire should they expect to get information, like either login or even a welcome letter or something along those lines?
So we receive a weekly file that gives us the information about who's a new hire. So it depends, I think, on how long it takes you to get into the system and then get on that file. Once we receive the file, then we set up your profile in our system and create those letters. So they go out within a couple of days of us receiving that file. So from the point you're a new hire, I would say you should receive the letter within a month at the longest point. But again, it depends on when we receive the information from the state, and then once we set it up in our system and mail out that letter to your home, and then the mailing time.
Great. Is there an option to increase the life insurance coverage beyond the 2 times salary? Again, I think I can answer this one. Right now, we do not have that in place. There's no option currently to increase the coverage. That is something we are actively looking at, but as of yet, that has not been implemented. So right now, the benefits as they were described in the presentation are the base benefits. Before I go on to the next question, I do see that someone has their hand up. It looks like it's Lindsay Wells. Please feel to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, I'm sorry if you already went over this, but is this pretty much still the same as the Minnesota life insurance, as when we retire, the coverage ends? Yes.
That's correct. Yes. So Minnesota Life and Securian Financial Group, we are the same company. So we've been the carrier since 1998. So it's been the same carrier and benefit since then. So if your coverage does end because you terminate, it is a basic benefit tied to your employment. So Clark had mentioned, you know, there is that retiree benefit if you have 20 years of service and you qualify for that at a $10,000 level. But otherwise, if you are leaving employment or if you're retiring and you haven't met that 20-year limit to get that base or retiree basic benefit, then you can convert your coverage to an individual whole life policy. It is more expensive. It's quite a bit more expensive than you paid as an active employee. The benefit there, though, is that you don't have to re-qualify for coverage if there's a reason that you want to continue all or a portion of your coverage and pay premiums directly. So that is an option if that's something you're interested in. If you do leave employment, you do have the right to continue your coverage through conversion to an individual policy at Securian, and that is a whole life policy that goes until death, basically.
Do we have to do anything about our beneficiaries, or did they carry over with the name change?
Yeah. Sorry, excuse me. Yes, you did not have to make any changes to your beneficiary because, again, it's just basically the umbrella over Minnesota Life. So there was no changes here on our side. And
Okay.
so if you have a named beneficiary, it still will be in our system. But as I had mentioned, it's always a good idea to go out and just double check to see who you have named to make sure it's still the right person.
Okay, so the benefit's the same. We're just going to see an increase out of our paychecks.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lindsay. We did have another question come through. During the hiring process, whether prior to or after 2016, was there an application process to receive the benefit, or was it automatic upon hire if the benefit wasn't waived? So Ronald, I believe, do you remember what year we put automatic enrollment in?
It was October of 2016.
There you go. So prior to October 2016, there was an application process. However, after 2016, it's an automatic enrollment, meaning that all new hires are automatically enrolled in the life insurance unless they opt out. So they have to actively say, I do not want life insurance. Otherwise, they are automatically enrolled. It looks like that. Can you go back a couple of pages on the presentation? Someone's looking for the phone number for the travel assistance.
Sure. There it is.
There you go. Are we able to, oh, sorry, I got something pop up right in the way. Are we only able to sign up for life insurance during an open enrollment period, or can we sign up at any time of year? I'll let you go with this one, Suzanne.
Yeah, you can sign up anytime during the year if you want to, if you have waived it in the past and you want to get into the plan now. But as I had mentioned, because you had waived it initially, you do need to provide proof of good health and go through underwriting in order to be approved for the coverage.
Okay, and then a follow-up question for those employees hired before 2016, how many forms do we need to submit and where do we submit them? So I believe that's sort of asking the same question, meaning that during your initial hire period, you did not sign up, in which case you have to do the proof of good health forms. I believe we have those on our website. I
went out and looked at your website, Clark, and yes, they are out there. So on your intranet site, that under the life insurance piece, which actually, if you have this presentation posted, I think we have it's here, as well as in another place, I think at the beginning here. But at any rate, it is here on your intranet site under the life insurance program. There's a whole page that talks about beneficiaries, your benefit, and then it has links to the form and what you need to complete in order to enroll in the coverage if you've previously waived it.
There you go. Can we add a spouse with an additional cost? This is actually the same answer as the increasing the base benefit. It's something that we're actively looking into, but as of yet, we do not have it implemented. Right now, it is just coverage for the employee, and the benefit the base benefit right now is not able to be increased. Again, we are looking into that, and we'll certainly update everyone if we come to that. Is the 18% based on our annual income? So the 18% is an increase on the premium itself. So right now, the premium for the coverage is 75% employer, 25% employee. If you look at your paycheck, usually that the premium ends up coming out to be, a few dollars per paycheck. So an 18% increase is an 18% increase to that $2 or $3. It has nothing to do with your income. It's just a 18% more than $3. So chances are it will be mostly less than $1 per paycheck for most employees. Obviously that's not a blanket statement, but generally speaking, that's what it comes to. So it's not a huge impact to individual employees, but over the course of the year, it helps us collect the premium that we need to pay for the expenditures.
I will just jump into this note to add a little bit. There is the premium is the same regardless of your age. However, since it is based on your benefit, which is based on your salary, it does actually increase if your salary increases, because you pay based on how much coverage you have, which again is 2 times your base annual salary.
Right. Yes, of course. Yes. Let's see. What is the state employee retirement that is taken out on our check? That's actually sort of a question for, that's a separate question. That doesn't necessarily related to life insurance. I don't necessarily want to go into that too much here. I would contact the retirement office and they'll be able to explain that a little better. I hate to pass the buck, but that's a pretty long answer that I think retirement would best answer. How do we waive life insurance, and can we do that at any time? I believe they can end their coverage at any time if they'd like.
That is correct. Yes, you can waive it at any time. And I believe when I looked at your website earlier that form is also out on that same page that I had mentioned on your intranet site, or instructions are out there for what to do if you want to waive the coverage.
Okay. And most of the next question is, do all forms go to DHR? Do some of them go directly to Securian? And I think the answer to that is yes and yes, meaning that if you do fill out the forms and send them to DHR, we will make sure that they go to the appropriate location. But for beneficiary designation, there's nothing that needs to come to us in HR. You can send that directly to Securian. So some of the files, it should say on the form itself where it needs to go. But if you want to feel like you want DHR to be the guardian of that, then you can send it to us and we'll make sure it goes to the right place. But there are definitely some forms that go directly to Securian as well. Question on the logon file, or the logon for life benefits. Do we contact Securian if we can't log in, or HR? This was asked a little bit earlier, but please feel free to answer again.
Yep, you would contact Securian, and I don't feel confident enough that I'm going to click this and it's going to bring us to the right place. But on that same intranet page, it does give our phone number there if you're unable to successfully log on. But I can tell you it's 866-293-6047. But it's out there on that site as well. So if you're not able to access the site, then give us a call and we can unlock your password to make sure that you have access to that site going forward.
All right. Well, we are coming up to the 1:30 mark. I just want to thank Suzanne very much for spending some time with us and going over the life insurance benefit. Thank you to all the attendees. I really appreciate everyone taking the time to come and join us. If there's any questions that you can think of after this session, feel free to email me. Again, my name is Clark Collins, Clark with an E at the end. Feel free to email me and I can either send the questions directly onto Suzanne or I can answer them. Hopefully I can answer them myself. So thank you again. Hope everyone has a good day. And hope everyone has a good day.
Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure. Take care.